Now, so we're recording, and this is our office hours. And what we're doing is we're telling the story today. And what I mean by that is I've got a lead. I met them at my open house, and I'm going to show you all the way to the open house how this is going to work out. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to just explain, just maybe in bullet points, that I've created what's called a Google form. Most people know what those are, and we're just going to use my Google form at the open house. And what ends up happening is I get this Google form that I've created, and I put it on some sort of tablet. Or, honestly, if I really wanted to, I could even put it on a phone. It looks just fine on a phone too. I prefer a tablet, but I've got this thing here that I've sent to myself, and it's an open house form. And if I open this up, I'm going to click fill out form. And what it does is it gives me this form right here. So you can see how having a narrow tablet might actually look pretty nice. I've got this picture here, and this is my open house form that I'm going to fill out. So the context is my lead walks into the open house. And I don't know if they're a buyer or a seller. Who knows? But this person is really impressed by the way that I've set up the open house. They really liked the way that I advertised around the neighborhood. And maybe the reason that they really were interested is I did some door knocking just in the neighborhood, letting people know, hey, listen, I'm doing an open house over here at this one residence. Thought you might want to know. Typical things that you would do whenever you're supposed to do that. And, if you want to learn more about open house, forms, basically what you would do is you would create a Google form, and we have some information on how to do that elsewhere. But what we're going to do is I'm going to give this tablet to somebody, and they are basically going to fill it out. And we're just going to say it's Harold home buyer, or actually home seller. Harold home seller. And his phone number is just going to be 417, still representing the Springfield, Missouri area, 555-1212. And Harold at sellmyhomenow.com. And
that's a real domain, don't you?
Oh, whoops. How about sellmyhomeplease.com? And do you have an agent? I already have an agent, thanks. I do not have an agent to represent me yet. So Harold's just going to click this little guy right here. Now,
and that's a great, one of the things I want to make sure everybody knows, that is a great thing to make sure you add on any kind of form like this, because you really don't want to get into the habit of calling other agents clients and possibly tripping up somebody if they have an agent.
So
put them in your list, absolutely, but don't actively market to them.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And just in case that this is like a thing too, I'm just going to make it please like that. Okay. Here we go. So Harold at Sell My Home Please, and I do not have an agent to represent me yet. Here's the other thing too. I could make this more complicated. Right now, I want to keep it simple because I also know, some agents are really good at, really prying all that information out of people. But I'm expecting a heavy flow of traffic at this open house. I just want people to see just a few questions and fill them out. I don't want people to see like a giant form and get, nervous, because I'm going to take care of all of this on follow-up, right? So what's going to happen is I'm just going to hit submit. And the coolest thing that is about to happen is that response is going to a pre-made spreadsheet. And I'm going to click submit another response, and then I can hand this form to my next guest. Well, lucky me, I had someone at Realvolve help me do this. I have an account with a program called Zapier, and I am actually working on, I have a connection between Zapier and that Google form and my Realvolve account. And so if I just open this up really quick here, you can actually see what it's doing. It is creating a contact in Realvolve, and it's actually getting all of this information. In fact, here it is, Harry Homebuyer, the phone number, the email, open house. Like, it's basically pre-assigning all of these fields. Now, not all the fields, and you can see that there's a lot that I can do here. And just so that you don't get like, oh man, that's really quick. don't worry, we've got plenty, even on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, of resources where we show people how to use Zapier, okay? So I'm just kind of really buzzing through this. You can look up how we do that in some of our other recordings. But I have this Zap right here, and what it's done is, ultimately, when this open house form was filled out, what it did, let's refresh my browser here really quick here, is, hopefully I connected the right one. Maybe I need to fill out a different one. I'm wondering.
It's possible it may have gone to a different account too, depending on how you had it set up.
Well, yeah, okay. So that was the one thing that I didn't really think about, was that I might need to actually fill out a different form, or I might have a different. Well, no, Harry Homebuyer. Well, no, that's not Harold. That's Harry. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
I would say it's using a different spreadsheet or
yeah. Well, what we'll do is this. Let's find Harry. Oh, yeah. Okay. So watch this. We're just going to do some magic here. We're going to go back to Zapier, and what we're going to do is we're going to retest that action. And so we're just going to retest and continue. And so now that we've done this, if I go back over here, before you know it, let's just go back to the dashboard here. And we're going to refresh our browser. There we go. Okay, so what just happened was, I've done this, I've set this thing up a few times, and so I've probably lost track of what all the sheets I have out there. Zapier brought in Harry Homebuyer, and I have this little alert bell up here that's telling me that. Now, here's the deal. I've done my open house, right? All those people have filled that form in. This is probably something I'm checking maybe a few hours after the open house, because I just want to see all the connections that were made in Realvolve. So when I click in Realvolve and I click on this bell, I'm probably going to have a lot of notifications. That's just because of the way that I've set it up. But whenever you want to look at one of the people that has come in, what you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and click right here at Harry Homebuyer. And this is where I'm going to get the information. And you can see here, I do not have an agent to represent me yet. That's Harry saying it right there. Update Harold's home seller record. Oh my goodness, Harold did come in. I was just being impatient. That's funny. And so here it is. Harold at Sell My Home Please came in right there. I know he doesn't have an agent. And here's the other really cool thing that I've done. With this Zap that I've done with Zapier, it's automatically started my open house workflow. And so whenever I look in here, it says update Harold home sellers record. Okay. Well, let's click on that yellow box right there and see what it does. Okay, yeah. So here we go. Stage, he's aware, he's a prospect, he's a category D. Here's his email, his home mobile. Okay, cool deal. I'm just going to hit check, 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 and we're going to save and close. That's essentially all that's happening right now. But here's the good part. If I go to activities, tomorrow, an email is going to go out to the lenders about Harold. I'm also going to send Harold an email about these lenders. I'm also going to send Harold a text message thanking him to stop by. And then on the 10th, Friday, I'm going to have a call with Harold where I'm going to basically be prompted by Realvolve to call Harold to follow up on the email that I sent to him and the text message that I sent to him. And then, of course, that morning, I'm also sending him a text message. And that text message is basically like, hey, Harold, I wanted to, just let you know that I sent you some messages, but I'm actually going to call you later today. And so that's probably going to go out about 9 a.m. That's typically when I have my automatic messages to go out. And so this little workflow right here is actually designed to help me kind of keep everything straight. So tomorrow, for example, whenever I'm supposed to be, or on Friday when I call Harold, I'm going to get this checklist. Check this out, where I can just write in notes and things like that. That's where I'm probably going to find out that he's a seller, right? And so this workflow is going to run. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, we'll say that things go well with Harold, and I have my phone call, and on that phone call, I say, Harold wants to sell, and he wants to use me to do it. I'm starting to get real if I can learn how to spell, traction in this neighborhood. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. So we're going to update last call date. We're going to hit return. And so now I've updated that record. So once I've got my Harold here, one of the things that I might want to do is go into his contact record, and I want to fill in his home address. Now, what is it? Well, it's going to be 110 East Freeman, Bolivar, Mo, 65613. We're going to save. And at this point, we've even got a little Google map right there. Under our classifications, I would say that he is very much going to be a client. I would say that he knows me at this point. I would say that he is a lead, and I would say that he is going to be a seller. I guess he is actually going to be a seller and a buyer, but we're not going to worry about the buyer side today. And so we filled all this information in. I could fill in some personal details as well. I could fill in his relationship status. This one's pretty simple. He's a single guy. So his greeting is Harold, and he's Harold Home Seller. We're going to save that right there. Later on, I might need to figure out his birth date. He doesn't have a home purchase or a home sale anniversary yet. I can fill in some contact dates, some source details. So like my source type, he's an open house. It already came in filled in for me because of the work that I did in Zapier. But I could fill in some other details as well, like maybe his annual income. We'll say he's on 65 grand a year right now. Which here we go, 65 1 2 3. There we go. So well, no. That's that's good. That works. We'll say he's doing well. So anyway, so we've got all this information. Maybe the final thing that I would do is I would make him a letter C, because he's like a confirmed lead. That's going to change very soon, because what's going to end up happening is I'm going to do my listing presentation with him. He's going to be so impressed by my listing presentation and by the strategy that I bring to the meeting about how we want to price it, like how we're anticipating things in the market, yada, yada, yada. Lo and behold, he gives me the listing, and I've already got 110 East Freeman listed here as a property.
One thing I want to make sure is really crystal clear here. The fact that you're doing the open house is great. The fact that you're providing lots of services there is great. The thing that's most important that everybody should understand is that you're setting up these systems, these processes ahead of time in order to scale. Because you could do some of this stuff if you just have one or two people. You could do this by hand. You could do all this stuff. But what if, and here's the what if you start getting 50, 60 people that day? I mean, it's a great, a lot of people are wanting to see homes because there's no inventory. What if, you get a lot of people in there? Now you've got a challenge. How do you deal with 50 or 60 people, weeding them out, figuring out who to call, who not to call, if they have an agent, not an agent. Well, now by setting up this system, you do know whether they have an agent or not. The hot ones that you need to get hold of are the ones that don't have the agent, obviously. And possibly on that form, maybe you did say, I'm looking, or maybe in 6 months, or, just browsing, or, whatever. And you can kind of feel out the leads that are coming in. But the important part of all of this is the fact that you've got it set up ahead of time, and you're not having to create your systems, your processes on the fly. You're using these on a daily basis, and that is what's critical to help you scale your business. Does that mean I make a lot more money, or does that mean I make the same amount of money, I'm just doing less time doing it? So either one works, and it just depends on how you want to structure your business. A lot of people want to be able to get more people in and sell more properties.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you've got to have the systems in place in order to do that. And this is what you're doing.
That's such a good point. And, Mark, I've actually, spoken to people firsthand who made more money and saved time. Like they made more money the next year and they got serious. I don't think any of us are going to claim that, setting up Realvolve is going to take just a day. It's going to take a little bit of work. But I've talked to multiple people, dozens, who both made more money, because they were getting started, they were newer agents. They made more money using Realvolve, but they saved time. And so, with this particular series of things that we're doing here, there are a certain number of workflows that we're going to be using, like with this Realvolve account. Like I was using a open house workflow. I'm going to be using a listing workflow. I'm going to probably be using at minimum, a transaction workflow. And then I'm going to be using a, past client nurture workflow. So those are 4 workflows that all in advance I had set up. But once you get those things set up, you don't have to do it again, except maybe to make some edits. Maybe you look back and say, I think I'll tinker with this a little bit. And honestly, that's in large part what Realvolve support can also help you with as well. We also have a lot of training resources too, or just some of these office hours videos. All that to say, look at what we got here. We got ourselves a potential listing, 110 East Freeman, just like I dialed in earlier. And we're going to go ahead and say that it is under pre-listing because Michael, the guy Harry, signed up with us. If we go to our little people tab here, when I scroll down, we've got our seller, and we need to find Harry or Harold, I suppose. So where's Harold at? There he is, Harold Home Seller. We're just going to drag and drop him right in there, and he's the seller. And that's a great email address. And so we've got our photographer and all these other people in here. And what we would normally do is we would fill in our people tab. We would go to our listing tab and we would fill in our summary and dates and, all these different things, unique features, close to the lake, great gazebo in the backyard, beautiful landscaping. They have a dog that's very friendly, but also very big. Also, their cat sheds a lot of fur. HOA manager is a real pill, all these like little notes that I've got. Well, normally.
And as you're doing the filling out, you don't have to fill out everything, but definitely fill out the things that you've created your systems around. So if you're starting off brand new, a lot of these fields you may not even need. You don't necessarily need to fill them in because you're not using them. And that's one of the things that's, I do get the comments at times like, oh man, there's all these fields. Why do we have so many fields? It's like, well, you don't have to use them all. You don't even have to use a fraction of them, but use the ones that are part of your system.
Good point. Yeah, that is a very, very crucial thing. And if you're new to Realvolve, especially, you have had available to you free introductory training classes. If you have any doubt about, how to access that, or if you're not sure, or, maybe you just missed it, don't feel bad. Go to the bottom right corner of your Realvolve account, click on that help button, and just tell the help person, hey, I heard talk about this, onboarding, class that, that was available, and I missed it. What do I need to do to get that? And they'll get it to you. It's fine, or you can arrange to attend a different one. It's totally okay. With this one, listing date is going to be the 17th. So obviously my date in the MLS is going to be the 17th. Sign install date is going to be on the 17th. Photography and staging, I don't know yet. It's all right. I'm not worried about it. Expiration date, normally I would probably fill that in, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Point is, I've got some information here. Go into the radar section here. I would click start a workflow, and I would click on my, pre-listing workflow that will take me through the process. Eventually, though, we're going to find ourselves a buyer, and that buyer is going to make an offer that we can't refuse, and we're going to go. Well, first, once we're on the MLS and we're active here, we'll go ahead and our listing expiration date really quick here. We'll say it was April 16. I'm going to sell that sucker in 2 weeks anyway. It's fine. And so once we go active, we get an offer that we want, and we're going to go to pending. And once we're pending, it's like, would you like to add a transaction for this property? And I'll say yes and copy files. So now this thing that started as a guest at my open house, we brought them in using Zapier as a lead tool, and we ran them on an open house workflow that yielded a conversation where we got a listing agreement signed. We ran our listing workflow. We got a buyer to come along, and now we are in 110 East Freeman, not the listing anymore or the property, but now the transaction. And, we'll go into the people tab here, and, we still have all the other people that we had, but now I got to figure out, who's the buyer agent, who are the buyers. I got to fill all that in. But now we are contract to close with Harold Home Sellers property. And, we can go ahead and add our closing date in here if we want to. Let's say that we time travel, we fold time here. And we're going to go ahead and close on the 8th. We go into our commission tab here. Let's see. Yeah, I've capped by now, right? So I hope I've capped by now. And so, we're just gonna do 100 here. And the total commission is going to be 6. And I know it's not always 6. I totally get that. But it's going to be 3 and 3, right? Transaction fee, we'll say I paid my TC $350. And let's say, to sweeten the pot, I covered photography, right? And so photography was gonna, photography, and we'll say that photography cost me about, for something like that expensive around here, it'd be about $1,200. So there we go. So closing gift, definitely want to do one of those. We'll say it was this is a good listing, so we're going to do about a $350 closing gift, and there we go, $13,550. Now that's not covering every conceivable thing, right? But you kind of understand the transaction type here. And if I wanted to, I could make it, I could change this. Well, this is new. That's a new one. I've never seen that before.
What is it?
Well, normally it says check transaction type. It's not a drop-down menu anymore. Did we change that?
It's under the transaction section there.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, we'll do that. There we go. So we could say it's selling only, buying only, or selling and buying. But we're just selling only. So point is, our commission. What the deuce? This thing got messed up. Oh, let's do this. Yeah, I remember a while ago. Here, let's just go back over here to 110 Freeman. There we go. We'll go back to our commission tab, selling only. There we go. Okay, 13,550. Sometimes, quick tip, if you need to change something on your Realvolve screen and it isn't working, just hit refresh on your computer. This is online software. It might be your connection. It might be a server somewhere, but yeah, we're good to go. And we're going to go ahead and say that we closed. And so now that we've closed, we've got this thing, and Realvolve is actually adding this, 13,550 to our year-to-date totals, as well as the sale price right here. And so, again, what we're doing is we're talking about, we got someone at an open house. We used Zapier to bring someone into Realvolve, and we used an open house workflow. We got a meeting, and then we got our listing agreement signed. And by the way, I could have used a listing presentation workflow too. If I'm in an office situation and I just need to, send out some alerts to maybe my assistant, hey, prepare the listing presentation for this address, things like that. I can totally do that.
Anything that you do more than once,
Yeah,
definitely more than twice, as far as checklist of things that you want to include in that presentation, emails that you normally send out for invites, for reminders of the listing presentation, all those types of things can be set up as a workflow.
mm-hmm.
And if you're creating emails, the same email multiple times, create it as a template, create it as a workflow, and then have that workflow process do the work for you.
Absolutely.
Stress that enough.
Yeah, and it's totally worth it. So I mean, it's not the greatest year, but I've done 115 in commission this year. We've done 4.67 million in volume. Not bad. I'm not going to complain. I capped. That was my main goal. It's only my second year. And so the other thing that I would just say is now that Paul or Harold rather is Harold Home Seller has done business with me. The final thing that I probably want to do is I want to go to his contact record. And this is just something that we're always going to be harping on. We want to update. Now, what would Harold be now that he's a past client? Well, he's going to be a B. So we're just going to auto advance him to that B level status. And if I go to the contact record here, I might want to go into my classifications here. Now, it's cool because it now says automatically that he likes me. It wasn't there before, but our automation has advanced those classifications automatically. Now currently he's a past client. Well, actually, technically no, because we still need to buy. So I guess he is technically still a client. But
did you set the transaction status to closed?
I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But he is a seller and a buyer, so there's something unfinished here in his record.
That's true.
Contact dates, we can fill in some contact dates. Hopefully by this point, right? Like I figured out his birthday and all that stuff. But what if I haven't, right? Like what if I don't know Harold as well as I should? Well, guess what? I need to be following up with this guy indefinitely, and I've got a workflow for that too. So if I go to my radar section here, I'm going to hit start a workflow, and I'm going to click right here at Essential Contact Nurture. That's a workflow that every single Realvolve user automatically has put in their new account. So if I click on this and I hit next, and I hit next again, record owner, it's going to be me. Click next. And okay, home purchase anniversary. Don't know that yet. So we're going to leave that blank. Home sale anniversary, automatically, it's already filled in, December 8th. Isn't that great? Birthday, I don't know. I need to find that out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click done. And this workflow, it's going to take a couple moments. It's going to spin up, and I'm going to have a nurture workflow to use with Harold. I wouldn't say indefinitely, but at least for the next 10 years. By that time, we're going to figure out a way to get, Realvolve installed in your foreheads and your, like microchips and everything like that. You're not going to have to worry about having it, in the system. All you got to do is like look up, and you'll see your Realvolve interface or something. Is that likely, Mark?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. It's like, you're like, I'm not going to promise that. That sounds scary.
Not going to promise that one yet.
But
I'm sure technology will advance though.
Yeah. But check it out, quarter one touch for Harold Home Seller, and Harold Home Seller's home sale anniversary. Well, it's not really his home sale anniversary. So we're just going to kind of just check this off right here. No email for this if they sold their home and didn't. Okay. Yeah. We'll just kind of do that. We'll just hit close. Okay. So quarter one touch though for Harold Home Seller. I'm basically going to call Harold. I'm going to run through this checklist of his, any notes that I want to have, his birth date, his home purchase. Hopefully we'll have one of those eventually. And we can fill in all these categories right here. And really, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
The beauty of the checklist, and a lot of people don't quite get it yet. And I want to make sure that this is clear. In a lot of systems, a lot of other our competitors and some of the other applications that are out there, you can set up activities to do things for you, send out emails, reminders, stuff like that. Realvolve has this checklist capability, which is like no other application does this. And what makes it so powerful is that you can set up the activities to fill out the fields for you. So if you've got an assistant, this doesn't take your time necessarily. This could be one of your assistant's chores, is just to go through the calendar every day and make sure things are updated. The things that are blank, try to fill them out. If you know what the values are, fill them in, and it saves them to the database. They don't necessarily have to know how to use Realvolve. All they have to know is how to check my calendar, fill in the blanks. How easy is that? That's like the thing that automation can do for you is save you time. And some of that time savings comes through delegation, delegating tasks like this to somebody that can handle it for you. Or say, for instance, you have an assistant, all these processes are already set up, and the assistant goes on maternity leave or leaves for a vacation or whatever. You can bring in somebody temporarily to do what? Check the calendar, fill in the blanks. So your systems work for you.
Mhm.
There was an agent that I know in Kansas City, had all of his systems in place. His wife was critically ill, had to spend time away from work, but all the systems were in place. Once they're in place like this, that gave him 5 months of time with his wife.
Yeah.
What's 5 months worth to you? That's the important thing. His business continued to thrive because the systems were in place and he didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
Understand that, guys.
That's a good point. So we run this workflow on Harold Home Seller here. And if I go to activities, we are going to be reaching out to Harold Home Seller, indefinitely for the next 10 years. And it's just going to be a quarterly thing where we're reminded to do it. We're also going to be reminded to reach out on his home purchase anniversary and his home sale anniversary too. He's a valuable client to us, and that's going to be reflected over time. So just to kind of recap, and I know that this all kind of went pretty quickly, and I've actually said this more than once now, but it'll be the final time I go through it. Realvolve was able to take this guy, Harold, who was a guest at my open house. He was impressed by the way that I set it up. He appreciated that I was knocking doors in the neighborhood. He's thinking to himself, I would like this guy to represent me. And he came to my open house. He signed up on a Google form, unbeknownst to him, that sent him to my Realvolve account because I used a tool called Zapier. And it automatically created this, it started a workflow where it gave me automatic follow-up. Without Harold even knowing it, Realvolve sent a follow-up text message, a next day email to both him and to lenders, alerting them that Harold might be looking. And longer, out in the road after he, sells, he is looking to buy. And then it also secured for me a reminder to give Harold a call. That secured a listing appointment. I showed him what strategy we're going to use. I showed him some comps in the area, just some different things and like how we're going to, price it and how things are going to go. And so he's thinking, okay, yeah, this person has done their research. They know what they're talking about. And we get the listing. We run a listing workflow in Realvolve. And it basically, as Mark was saying earlier, anything that we do more than once or any email that we would normally write over and over and over again, that's automatically done in advance for me. Maybe that listing workflow saved me, maybe 2 hours this week. But here's the important thing, and this is something that Mark touched on. If I have 10, 15, 20 of these going on all at once, it's not just going to necessarily save me time. It's still going to be a lot to manage. But as long as I'm logging into Realvolve and I'm keeping up with my tasks, most importantly, it's keeping me from dropping the ball. Because you can easily get overwhelmed by a volume of tasks, especially tasks that are as often complex as the real estate, profession requires. We get the listing agreement, signed. We run our pre-listing workflow. We take it live. We got a workflow for that too. But then we finally get a buyer to come along in very short order, and they make an offer, and we go contract to close. And I've got a workflow for that too. And so that is we're up to 3 different workflows that I've used with Harold. And after that closes, the final task on my contract to close workflow that I use with Harold is a task reminding me to update his records and to go ahead and start them on my client nurture workflow. And, you know, with that, that is a total of 4 workflows that I've run or used with Harold, helping me keep everything straight. With our hope being, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 years down the road, Harold finally gets that promotion that he's been working for so long. He's got a little bit more spending money, or maybe he gets a family. He's finally decided to slow down and start dating. Who knows? But either way, the guy is like, this has been a great house, but I need something a little bigger, a little better. I want to get into this school district, all the things, right? And we're going to pause that client nurture workflow. We're going to stop it all together, and we're going to start the process all over again. We're going to do our listing presentation. We're going to bring it, we're also going to find them a new home. And before it's all said and done, with Harold alone, we might do, 3 or 4 transactions. But in addition, maybe he starts referring people to us as well. So this is somebody that ultimately gets invited to the Christmas party for the next 25 years. And we love him. We're doing photos with Santa and all that sort of stuff. Free hot chocolate, and Harold's always there. So, that is the story of countless clients that you have the opportunity to give world-class service to each and every time using Realvolve. That's what Realvolve helps you do. And it's really important that you use this product because it keeps it consistent. We don't want any errant reviews on Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever the next iteration of, whatever mega real estate, company might come out there, because you're using Realvolve and you're doing it yourself, and you're doing it consistently. And we're kind of fighting that, corporatization of real estate. We're keeping it in your hands. And so that's sort of the story with Realvolve. I know there's a lot to it, but the good news is if you're watching this either on YouTube or on Facebook, we have a library in both the Facebook page, but also on the YouTube page where you can learn more in depth about, well, how do I set up this Zapier thing? Or how do you do this Google form? Or how do I create an open house workflow? I've actually done a call, and it's recorded and it's published, where I show you how to do all of those things. We have published recording resources on how to do a listing and how to do the listing workflow. All of the things are there and available to you. We are a small, nimble, well, not small in the sense of like being, insignificant, but we are a nimble company that is able to move quickly to help you. And we do not take anyone for granted. We want to help you. We want you to grow, and we want to grow as a company. And so we are all doing this together, and we are all kind of building this economy back, and honestly fighting the tide of these large corporate behemoths who want to just take real estate out of the hands of agents. So we're here for you, and we're here to help if you need anything. What are we missing, Mark?
I think you covered it. There is a path, a client life path, lifeline of things that happens from the very beginning. I call them the core strategies myself, where you're taking a client through CORE, C-O-R-E. It's an acronym for conversions, operations, retention, and the engagements. And things that you do through the life cycle of that client is so important. And you pretty much went through everything, and it circles back. One of the things that you can also think about, and it's something else that I like to teach, is there really are 7 different, well, actually there's probably more. I teach 7 different categories of clients where you've got your renters, any kind of workflows that you set up that deal with renters to go to first-time home buyers. And there's content, there's email, stuff like that you're creating is geared towards that. Then once they've gone through that cycle once, they're no longer first-time home buyers. What are they? Well, they may be move-up home buyers, or You know, they go from move up home buyers to executive homes or show homes. And there's a cycle,
Yeah.
just a cycle of clients. And typically 7 to 10 times people will move. And you're moving through that cycle each time, giving them different content based off of where they're at in their story, because their story changes. There
Mhm.
isn't just one story, there's multiples.
Yeah,
So
that's so good. That's a good point. And I often just ask people to consider for a moment too that you know using Realvolve regularly and effectively, it also just kind of keeps you on track in the sense of I can often get overwhelmed, and I just need that little you know notification, or I need that reminder of, oh yeah, this is what I do next. Because again, once you're in the neighborhood, let's say you've got two active listings, and you've got two where you're contract to close, and you're nurturing 15 leads. Are you even in the office at that point? What are you going to do? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to breathe as much as you can, but you're going to sit down for an hour and a half, either at the beginning of the day, I think preferably, or a little bit at midday, or also a little bit at the end of the day, but ultimately hour and a half at the most. Open up your Realvolve account. Don't let yourself forget anything. Set it up right. We'll help you do it, and then lean on it. We trust it.
here's the thing. Once you're done, at the end of the day, you've completed all your tasks on your activities list, because you're systematized. You've got everything in place. At the end of the day, you can go home, be with your family, be rest assured that all the things that needed to get done got done,
Yeah.
and you don't have things left undone. That's
Mhm.
that's the number one thing that I hear from our users. And I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, and agents spend a lot of time at home thinking about what did they forget
Mhm.
or what did they miss. And a tool like Realvolve prevents that. And
Yeah.
I trust it. Yes, you set up the systems to do this, and then it just does the reminders, does some of the automation stuff for you, and it's there. So
Yeah, that really is the best part for me, is that, to me, and the way that I think about life in the world, I can actually sleep knowing I haven't done everything. I can't sleep not knowing. And there is a certain level of bandwidth and memory space, storage space, that uncertainty just occupies in your mind. And as if you can just keep it straight, okay, I'm this far behind, or I'm this far caught up, but I just want all of our users to go to bed with clarity. You'll sleep
absolutely,
better, you'll work better.
very good,
So, well,
awesome.
yeah. Really appreciate all the people who've watched after this. We will be publishing this soon, and we're looking forward to helping anybody that has any questions or concerns. But yeah, hopefully we'll see everybody again soon.
Bye, everyone.